Hi everyone, it's Beth from the West Allis Public Library, and welcome to another episode of our Who HQ Summer Book Club. We're on episode 5 of Who Was Blackbeard. I want to do a quick reminder that you can sign up for our summer reading program on our website, westallislibrary.org, and you get a free book just for signing up. You have to pick your book up at the library, or we can do a curbside pickup for it. So, if you remember from yesterday, we are starting out with chapter 8 called The Death of Blackbeard. Ships on the North Carolina coast reported seeing Blackbeard and his crew camped on Ocracoke Island. It would be tricky to reach the camp. The pirates had anchored their small ship, the Adventure, down a very narrow channel of water. The large Royal Navy ships could not sail near the island without hitting the bottom. Captain Ellis Brand of HMS Pearl put Lieutenant Robert Maynard in charge of the attack. HMS stands for His Majesty's Ships. In this case, referring to England's King George I. Maynard hired 2 smaller ships, the Ranger and the Jane. What would you name your ship? These ships have all sorts of different names. That'd be interesting. It's like naming a car. So the Ranger and the Jane were lighter and would be able to navigate in the shallow water. Brand told Maynard and his crew that there was a 100-pound reward for Blackbeard. That's about $20,000 today, as well as smaller amounts to be paid for other captured pirates. Earning that reward would be very dangerous, however. Maynard hired 2 local men as pilots. They knew the channels and sandbars very well. The pilots would help the sailors aboard the Ranger and the Jane make it to the small bay near Blackbeard's camp on Ocracoke. On the cloudy morning of November 22nd, 1718, the 2 ships sailed toward Blackbeard's anchored ship. Blackbeard and his men had been drinking until early that morning. He was probably still asleep. But when a lookout spotted the Navy ships, Blackbeard and his men rallied to action. The Ranger and the Jane fast approached the Adventure. When they were only a few hundred yards from the pirates, Maynard's ships unfurled their flags, Union Jacks, the symbol of Great Britain. The pirates knew for sure that they were being hunted by the British Royal Navy. Maynard called over the water for the pirates to surrender. He said later that Blackbeard yelled back and insulted his men. The dreaded pirate called Maynard and his men cowardly puppies and said he would neither give nor take quarter. Quarter can mean 1/4 of something, or it can mean mercy. Blackbeard used it to mean he would neither give mercy to nor expect any mercy from his attackers. Blackbeard backed up his word by firing a broadside at the 2 Navy ships. The cannons were loaded with iron balls, nails, and scrap iron. The red-hot pieces of metal tore into the Navy ships. With one blast, more than 20 men out of only 57 crew members were killed or wounded on the Jane and the Ranger. Wow. Maynard was on board the Jane. He saw that many of his men were injured or dead. His small ships had no cannons to fire back. They had left them behind so the ships would be light enough to reach Blackbeard. To save his men from another broadside, he sent many of them down into the hold below the deck of the ship. Blackbeard steered his ship toward the Jane. He thought most of Maynard's men were dead and that he could storm and capture the ship. As they got nearer, Blackbeard's men threw grenados that exploded on the deck of the Jane. A grenado was a small explosive that could be thrown at a target, similar to a hand grenade. When the sides of the two ships banged together, the pirates threw metal hooks over the Jane's rails. The ropes attached to the hooks tied the two ships together. Blackbeard led the way across onto the Jane. He was wearing his pistols and waving a huge sword. Maynard and a handful of men faced the large group of pirates. Suddenly, the rest of the Jane's crew burst from the hold. Blackbeard's crew was outnumbered. A desperate fight followed. Pirates and sailors used swords, pistols, axes, and even wooden poles to fight each other. The deck grew slippery with seawater and blood. In the middle of the battle, Lieutenant Maynard and Blackbeard faced off. Maynard shot Blackbeard with a pistol, but the pirate stayed on his feet. The two men clashed swords. Even though he had been wounded, Blackbeard was so strong that he broke Maynard's sword. Maynard grabbed another pistol and shot Blackbeard again. By then, other sailors were running to help Maynard. A Navy sailor slashed at Blackbeard's face, leaving a large wound, but the pirate kept fighting. For several moments, Blackbeard battled against the sailors before he finally fell to the deck. After being shot 5 times and stabbed with swords 20 times, Blackbeard was dead. He was probably no more than 40 years old. A few minutes later, the other pirates surrendered. The Navy sailors locked the captured and shackled pirates in the holds of the Ranger and Jane. They made sure all the pirates' dead bodies were brought aboard too. They would need them to collect their money. The reward would be paid for any pirate, alive or dead. Maynard had Blackbeard's head cut off. Yikes. The legendary pirate's body was thrown into the ocean. A local legend says that it swam around the ship 3 times before sinking forever into the Atlantic. Blackbeard's head was hung from the front of the Jane. The British government did not treat pirates kindly. The punishment was death. The survivors from Blackbeard's crew were brought to Virginia and put on trial. All but 2 were convicted and hanged. Like many executed pirates, their bodies were hung near the entrance to the harbor in Virginia. Colonial leaders displayed the rotting corpses, often pecked apart by birds, as a warning to any other would-be pirates. When Maynard returned to what is now Hampton, Virginia, in triumph, Blackbeard's head was stuck on a tall pole for everyone to see. Today, the spot where his head was on view is known as Blackbeard's Point. Well, that's grim. Chapter 9, Blackbeard's Legacy. In 1724, a book was published that helped make Blackbeard and many other pirates famous. Written in England by a man named Charles Johnson, which historians think was probably not his real name. A general history of the robberies and murders of the most notorious pirates told tales of pirates on the high seas, raids on ships, and the treasures they captured. Johnson's book is one of the only places that Edward Teach is called Blackbeard. But the image Johnson described made Blackbeard clear in the reader's mind. The belt of pistols, the enormous smoking beard, and Blackbeard's fiery eyes. Because no paintings or drawings of Blackbeard were made while he was alive, many of the images we are now familiar with were based on Johnson's descriptions. Those pictures helped spread the Blackbeard legend. Creating that legend was a big part of Blackbeard's life. He worked hard to create a fearsome look. His long, wild beard was said to cover most of his face. He wore not 1 or 2, but many swords and pistols when he went into battle. He burned ships, stole whatever he could take, and threatened people with death. It was rumored that he even shot at his fellow pirates to keep them in line. But, in reality, it is not known that Blackbeard ever killed any of the prisoners he took. He released his hostages, and he actually let some ships go on their way if they did not have much for him to steal. For a short time at least, he settled into a life on land in a house in Bath. One account even says that he was married there. Still, the legend of Blackbeard lives on. Unfortunately, piracy has never really gone away. In recent years, pirates from East Africa have attacked and captured ships in the Indian Ocean, including large oil tankers and luxury yachts. They steal money they find on board or steal the contents of the tankers, including the valuable oil. Today's pirates use fast motorboats to catch and overtake the slow-moving tankers. I'm going to stop for a little blurb about pirate myths. Since the golden age of piracy, many myths and legends about pirates have sprung up. Historians have been able to show that some of the most famous pirate tales in the world are not true at all. Only one pirate, Captain William Kidd, was alleged to have buried treasure. In fact, most pirates never made so much money that they could afford to leave some behind. They needed it to buy food, ammunition, and rum. Pirates did not say, "Arr." That now famous word was first used in a 1950 movie version of Robert Louis Stevenson's famous pirate book, Treasure Island. The actor, Robert Newton, played pirate captain Long John Silver. Newton based his accent on men from the southwest coast of England, where it's believed many pirates sailed from. And there is almost no historical record of pirates making prisoners walk the plank. Though some pirates did kill their hostages, most let them go. Okay, onward. Blackbeard and other pirates continue to have a huge impact on modern culture. Pirates always have been popular in movies. As early as the 1920s and 1930s, films like The Seahawk and Captain Blood told tales of pirates at sea. Burt Lancaster starred in the exciting film The Crimson Pirate in 1952. And a comedy called Blackbeard's Ghost came out in 1968. More recently, the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie made pirate lore and legend popular once again. People enjoy the legends surrounding pirates such as Blackbeard. Historians, however, look for facts. In 1996, divers working underwater off the coast of North Carolina discovered the wreck of a large sailing ship. Artifacts they found made them believe that they had located the last resting place of Blackbeard's famous ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge. They found cannonballs, coins, bells, medical gear, and other artifacts. One of the cannons was fully loaded, ready for firing. After 15 years of careful study, officials confirmed that the wreck was indeed Blackbeard's ship. But while the pirate ship has been found, the mystery around this bearded villain remains. Though it is not known for certain how he began, it is known how Blackbeard ended, as the most famous pirate in history. The end. Thank you for listening to another episode, or another season, I guess, of our Who HQ Book Club. This has been Who Was Blackbeard?